So training camp's finally underway. Today we're going to break down the biggest battles across the roster, which players are fighting for their NFL careers, a shocking off-the-field coaching news that nobody expected, and who needs a massive camp to survive final cuts. Plus, we'll answer all your questions live later in the show. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show. It's training camp time, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Scouse Andy Lockhart. How are you, mate? You all right?
I'm not bad, pal. I'm not bad. How are you, man?
All good, mate. All good. Yeah, not too bad at all. Busy day here today. We've had VIP visits. If you Google, you can see who that is. I'm not going to mention it on here because... yeah, we're not that sort of podcast. But yeah, all good, mate. All good at my end. We'll get into it then, mate. Yeah, the biggest news and the biggest headlines at the moment in the Washington Commanders. Where do we start? Do we start with the presser with DQ and AP on Monday at 6 Eastern, where JP Finley asked a very good question on Brandon Ayuk's social media? No, let's not talk about that. Really, it's Ben Steele, mate. When you talk about Ben Steele being fired, it's unquestionably the biggest story of the day. When it started, he was fired just before training camp. Reports indicating this following his DWI arrest. Teams cited violation of the team's conduct policy. Looking at it, he refused at the scene a breath test, and he was initially pulled over. His blood test results later revealed that the BAC was more than 2.5 times the legal limit. Additionally, he faced misdemeanor charges for refusing chemical test and resisting or obstructing officers in a non-threatening way. He just restricted them. He has since been replaced by Wes Welker, who took the tight ends through OTAs practice. So they've known about this for a while. Obviously, it was in June. I mean, how do you think this affects the tight end room? Was it the right decision to make by the team?
Oh, it's definitely the right decision by the team to sack him. Or fire him, as you got in America.
Sack him, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, not literally a sack. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
getting the sack for those in there, for those over the other side of the pond is picking your papers up, or your P45 as we call it this side.
Yeah, so you get
getting fired. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was the right decision. I think the way he acted was out of order, and I also think, why on earth? I don't understand why people of that kind of, you know, ilk would have got a really important job and they just don't get an Uber. If you're having a beer, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? But why are you drink driving? Why don't you just get an Uber?
I know.
It's not as convenient. It's not as convenient. Well, you know, so what? It's like me. If you're that's the risk you got to take. If you're gonna go out and have a beer and you're gonna drive to a bar first and then have a beer, then you got to be ready to get an Uber home and get your car the next day, after training camp or that day's training or whatever day it was. I just don't get it, man. I don't understand. It happens a lot, doesn't it? It happens a lot to, you know, players as well, not just staff members. You know, it's like, mate, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand the kind of logic.
I totally agree with you, mate. I don't understand it. The Wes Welker coming in, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. He's been in and around the tight ends. So, yeah, it's one of them. That's quite good, that kill to the commander. I like that. He said apparently Tony Romo offered him a lift.
Yeah.
Love it. I like where your brain's going there. That's pretty good. But, yeah, it was interesting. I don't mind Wes Welker taking over. I think it's the right thing to do. You know, obviously, if he's handled them since OTAs, team's known about this for a long time, but have kind of kept it quiet, which is a good thing, really. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they've known, oh, shit, this news is going to come out at some point, and the news must basically drop right before training camp. So they've done, in my opinion, what is the right thing, but keeping it cards close to the chest, that's quite good. You know, that's what DQ and AP have done since they've been here. We haven't heard huge leaks rumors, all that sort of stuff. Normally, it'd leak like a freaking sieve over here. You know what I mean? You know exactly what's going on. But nowadays, it's not like that. They do keep things a bit close to the chest. From DQ and AP's press conference, mate, I got nothing really from that. To be fair, it was. It was a bit of blah 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 stuff. There's a few obviously things that we'll talk about in a minute, but we'll get on that. Go on, mate. I've cut you off before then. You were going to say sorry.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think. I mean, you can tell that Welker has taken over because look what he did with one of the cuts. Yeah, it was one of the first cuts since Welker took over as tight ends coach or head coach of the tight ends.
Anthony. Bye.
Ferguson went straight away, and we thought that this guy was coming in to potentially, maybe even maybe get the last spot as a tight end, as a starting 53 members. So it's kind of already it's making changes, which is, I suppose, it's a good thing. If you're thinking this guy's not good enough, cut him now. I mean, I've got no problem with that. It's just you can see already the difference. So we'll have to see how it goes throughout camp, really, because we know Welker. Yeah, he's a really good slot receiver, but he wasn't a great. I wouldn't call him a great blocker. I mean, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean.
Some guys might know more about his game than I do, but it's just one of them things, really, where I'm thinking, well, it's great that you've got a really good receiving type of receiver coach teaching the actual tight ends, but then I say you still need those guys to be able to block and play on the potentially play on the O-line to a certain extent to help out the blocking schemes. So it's kind of it's just kind of one of them for me at the moment. I mean, I don't know who's taken over from Welker's assistant position. I don't know.
Not sure, mate. I don't think there's been a corresponding move on that, but I'm sure we'll get onto it. We'll move on to the news then, bud. We worked out quite a few players, worked out 9 players, 4 wide receivers, and punter Thomas Morstead was one of them. Seth Hennigan, quarterback, River Craycraft, we'll get onto him a little bit later. Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver, Malik Heath, wide receiver, Quincy Skinner, wide receiver, Thomas Morstead, punter, Jamie Gillan, the Scottish Hammer, punter, Matt Hack, punter, and Cal Adomatis, a long snapper, were the people who were worked out. And then from that, we get on to pup list and active pup listers. So we added linebacker Kane Medrano to the active physically unable to perform list, or the pup list as it's known. He joins players who opened up on the camp, who were Trey Amos, Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise, and obviously Medrano is a new addition. Obviously, also on top of that, we have sent, I believe, Trestway has also gone to the pup list. And in the corresponding move, we signed Matt Hack, the punter. He went on the NFI list, as it's known. So he's got a pectoral issue, Trestway, but it's not deemed long-term at all. And we signed River Craycraft. Woo! Veteran receiver, my mate, has been added to increase competition and depth in camp. On them corresponding moves as well, Anthony Fursker, as you said, tight end has been released, as has Andre Carter, the second and outside linebacker. He's also been released. So they've obviously gone. And another one that has gone is Nick Ballore. He decided to retire from the NFL. He was obviously old, but he must be looking at that Scouse and thinking to himself, there's a lot of special team cats in this area. Am I going to get am I going to actually physically make this roster? He was a bubble player of both yours and mine. You had him, I think, making the 53. It's a shame for Nick Ballore because he's done a lot on specials. And wish him well in the future. And that enabled us to obviously sign Rasul Douglas to the active roster then. What do you think of these moves, mate? I know there's a lot I've said there, so apologies.
Yeah, which way do you want to go with that? Or where do you want to start?
It's up to you. We'll talk with Kane Medrano, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about the guy you drafted for us. I haven't really seen.
Thank you. I don't think I had a hand in it, but yeah, I read his name out.
You did with the card, But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking are any of these things shocking? Ballore was a shock to me. I didn't think he was going to retire. Yeah. I thought he was going to do another 1-year deal. Obviously, that didn't happen. So, bit of a shock there. I think we will miss him on specials. I really do. I think he still would have made it being honest. I mean, as linebacker, yeah, he would be you'd hardly see him play. But as actually on specialty, he would have been a mainstay on that on special teams. So I think we will miss him. I'm just thinking about kind of obviously Rasul Douglas. Yeah, we know he's going to be making the squad, so I wasn't again shocked with that one. A little bit surprised with Ferguson being cut at that time. I thought he might have at least made it all the way to the end of camp and see where he was at that point. Obviously, Welker doesn't see it that way, so goodbye, which is fair enough. I've got no issues with it really. But again, first thing I thought of though was, your boy Craycraft's back. So I knew you were going to be really happy with that one.
I'm as happy as you are with Nick Algretti, but I'm sure we'll talk about him a little bit later as well. It is what it is. I mean, Kay Medrano has a minor hamstring issue, which is fine. I physically spoke to him on Instagram. Yes, I am that guy. And he said he won't be long. He won't be long. He's not out long at all. So I said, all right, cool. That's, that's pretty good. And I mean, it is what it is. So the biggest news, I suppose, from the training camp.
Sorry to interrupt you. I really want to see what Medrano can do.
So do I.
I've not seen anything from him, so I'd really like to see what he's actually got. We know he's got speed. We know he's sideline to sideline. But that's all we kind of know from him. Yeah. We don't know anything else. So it's kind of it's a bit annoying, really. I bet he's really annoyed as well because he's never getting any actual game time or even on the field where we can actually, judge him a little bit, and assess him and see where he's at. And then obviously gets his hamstring problem, and then that doesn't help us either. So that doesn't help us out. Doesn't help him out. But again, as you say, if it's not going to be long, it's good. That's a good sign. But again, I mean, at this moment, do you think he makes it at this moment?
Yeah, just about. I think he's very, very on the bubble.
Makes it a bit easier. It does make it a little easier for him. Mm-hmm. But again, I think he's going to be part of the squad guy, part of the squad, being honest.
Probably could be. We'll talk about these players that were on the pup then, I suppose. Trey Amos, obviously, as Rod mentions there, he's saying he's got soft tissue pain. They're just taking it easy. It's more of a caution rather than, Trey Amos is still out, because that's been a 10-month injury now, Scouse, which is a long time. Yeah. For a broken fibula.
I mean, from a fibula injury as well,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's quite rare. It's quite rare to have a problem like that. As in for that long.
That's your field. So
I mean, fibula is it's a non-weight bearing bone. So normally when they break, it's either, depending on obviously where he broke it. I mean, it might be part of his ankle that's broke, the bottom part of it. That's part of the ankle joint, you see, is the bottom part of the fibula, if it was that part. If it was higher up, then it should have been fixed, 2 months
5
in.
months.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, 10 weeks, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Realistic football shape from there, you being a physio, you know better than me. You're looking at 5 to 6 months, aren't you?
Probably even less. If it was mid shaft. If it's low shaft, it's more the ankle. You know what I mean? So again, that's a fractured ankle.
Shaft.
They take a lot longer. Yeah. So they take a lot longer to heal. Again, because he's weight bearing on it. And obviously what he's saying now, he's got some soreness. That's why he's still not ready. He's probably been obviously working out and stuff like that in his own time. And his muscles have adapted to the way it was before, as in like where his bones were as it broke. That makes sense. So then as that healed, the muscles have altered a little bit. And now he's trying to get back to that normal range of movement, that normal kind of sprint pattern, that normal kind of movement. And his muscles are not coping well at the moment with it. And that's the reason why he's sore and he's out at the moment. As I say, I think that will be... I'm pretty confident he's going to be available, for the start of the season, maybe even earlier.
So am I.
So I'm not worried about him missing time.
Me neither. Rod's got a couple of good points here. Apparently they're working on Medrano's tackling, which is great. Burks has got sore feet, which we'll get into. And then obviously Deluxe, going back to Ballor, he says Ballor retiring makes it easier for Owens, Medrano and Cahill, them sort of people. Agreed. And then Deluxe also says it's probably regaining muscle symmetry from period of immobility. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I mean, it was kind of what I kind of said, but in a layman's terms, rather than saying symmetry and all these are the big words, mate, you know what I mean? But adaptive, your muscles have adapted to that position, or to as I say, that immobility that he had originally, because he probably would have been in some sort of cast for quite some time, or boot at least. And then you say your muscles do shorten, they do adapt to the positions you put your ankle in, and the muscles in the shin, stuff like that, and the calf, and all those smaller muscles in there. And then, as I say, then he's got to try and work that out again, try and get those muscles used to that kind of movement, that single leg stance, that twist on it, that, all the movements that he's got to be able to do as a corner. It's running backwards at speed. It's a very difficult skill to do. So training those muscles again just takes a long time, and they fatigue very quickly when they're not used to it anymore. That's why conditioning is so important, as we keep going on about it regularly, for even just tackling and handling the hits. Even general, you need that conditioning for the muscles just themselves to be able to be stretched and pulled and twisted in that way, but without you causing any grief. So sometimes it can just flare up a little bit, and I think that's where he's at the moment. I'm not worried. I don't think he's re-injured it where he's going to be out for months more. I think he'll definitely be ready for week 1 or even earlier. I think earlier, but might be late.
So the other two then, Dorrance Armstrong and Dietrich Wise, are just going to work off on the side field. We're quite happy with where they are coming forward in their recovery. Again, we've been told they shouldn't be long, which is a good sign, especially if they're actually out on a practice field.
Do you think about this though? I think about this with Dorrance Armstrong. Obviously he was having an all-pro season. With the first 5-6 weeks of the season before he got hurt. He was outstanding, and then he pulled his hamstring, and then he played them again the next week. Mm-hmm. Knowing well that he probably partially tore his hamstring at that point. Oh, what did he do? I'll just bandage it up and let him play. And what happens? He ruptures it completely, and he's still not right now, which is like, what? Again, another 8 months down the line from a hamstring problem? Do you know what I mean? Like that's
I thought he did his ACL.
No, he did.
Or was that why? Or was Wise who did his ACL?
I thought Wise was a pec.
Oh, it might be. I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure.
I don't think he had any ACLs besides the guy we cut, the corner.
Lattimore. Yeah,
Lattimore. I could be wrong. I mean, I just thought it was purely his hamstring that he ruptured, and that's why he needed surgery, and he's been out for so long. But if it's an ACL, that would make more sense with the amount of time frame. But if it is the hamstring and the rupture, a full, you tear it off the bone, as you call it. A full rupture is you tear it off the bone. A complete rupture, a grade 3. Or
yeah, so I'm reading it now here. Armstrong, Amos, and Wise all suffered season-end injuries. Wise suffered a quad injury in week 2. Armstrong, who led the team in sacks, suffered a knee injury against the Cowboys.
Okay.
Tearing ACL in his right knee. ACL.
Oh, he did his ACL. Yeah. That makes more sense then. Because I was going to say, man, when he tore his hamstring, I was like, because he did tear it. Because you've seen the...
He did, yeah, it's right. It says
he had quad and his thigh.
He had a hamstring injury the week before.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was the same problem, but he went. Obviously, he blew his ACL. Fair enough. I mean, and again, his hamstrings probably weren't helping him out, helping his ACL at all. It was partially torn. They're going to be inhibited by the pain anyway. And then, obviously, his ACL's just hanging on for dear life, and obviously it must have snapped. Again, makes sense with the time frame of being injured. But yeah, I didn't know it was an ACL. So yeah.
While we're on the injury news, then Nick Algretti left practice with a calf strain. Dan Quinn's indicated it's not expected to be a long-term issue. However, we know even if it's a calf pull or a strain, as they're saying, it's going to be a minimum of probably a week. I would say if it's a game, you're probably looking at 2 games rest, I would say, as a minimum. So we're going to get probably 2 weeks into training camp before we even see Nick Algretti back. This makes me nervous, more so than I was before, because I heard I'm not going to say it's BS, but I heard what the team were talking about with Dan Quinn and DQ in his presser, saying if he was on defense, he'd have a green dot. He's very, he's a good communicator, blah, 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 blah. They're bigging Algretti up massively. And then he goes into day 1 and he has to leave because, I was hoping he'd shit himself and it was just like bubble tummy, do you know what I mean? Or something like that. But no, it turns out it's a calf strain. And then it's like, right, okay, where are we going to go with here? We're left with Julian Good-Jones snapping the ball and Matt Golbin being the backup at the minute, which... I know what they tried to do. They tried to get the same sort of, production out of a lesser contract rather than Biadish, but Dude, is this? You've been saying it for a long time. Is this a mistake by the team?
Well, as in having Allegretti as centre one, starting centre.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've always maintained that. I think he's a solid backup, and that's me being nice. You know, I think he's a solid backup. I don't think he should be starter anyway. And yes, I understand why they'd like him, because he is a guy who, even when he played as guard, he would call the protections. So I kind of understand. So I understand why they think he's a great communicator, and he can do help Jayden out a lot with the protections and da. I understand that side of it, right? And that is important. But really, that's Jayden's job, being honest. And then you've got the Allegretti, who, you know, I say isn't at that real starting centre level. And then you got the guy who, as I say, he played was it the first day he pulled his calf? Was it the first training sessions?
Yeah, training session one. Yeah, game the
so
one. Yeah.
So what's he doing? He's probably trying to make an impression. Probably really trying to put it out there. Probably put it all in. Calf couldn't handle it and pulled it straight away. So it's kind of like he's maybe trying to play up. You see what I mean? Because he's up against really good defensive tackles now, and his leg couldn't handle it this time. Never mind his blocking. So it's kind of like that. Just worries me, man. It does worry me. I mean, I was hoping that Goldman would get more reps now.
Starting reps.
Reps with Jayden stuff, but obviously it's been good Jones, so obviously they mustn't think Goldman's anywhere near ready, otherwise they would be giving him the snaps.
Well, and we might see that soon. We don't know. We don't know.
I say I'm open so because I want to know what the evaluation is of him, because I'm interested in the guys I don't know about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I'm interested in Medrano, because I don't know what he's about, because I've not seen him on the field to be able to assess him, his skill set and stuff like that. I want to see. I'm always interested in the guys that I don't know about, so that's why I'm interested in Goldman. I know what Allegretti's about. I know that what Good Jones is about. I don't know what Goldman's about. I don't know what Sonny Styles is about. Yes, you can go off tape,
college tape, can't you? Yeah.
Well, that was different. That's why I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing those guys. You know what I mean? More than actually the guys I already know about. I know what their skill sets are. I know they're going to do a good job at this and that and the other, and a bad job at other things. I know what they're about. They've been around a long time. There's a lot of tape out there in the NFL level and matches that games I've actually watched them play in. So, you know what I mean?
Well, I know exactly what you mean. We'll just catch up with the chat quickly. So Kilty Commander says it's still July. Makes total sense to ease them in gradually. Another one from him says probably the only position on the field which is seemingly zero depth. He's talking about centre. Yeah, I agree with that. Rod obviously says durability is an issue already. It happens in the full blood and guts of a season. Could Coleman step in as well? I hope so. That's one that I've heard of a lot of, but he's quite big for a centre. That's the problem. And you rate him as a left tackle, which I do too.
I like him as a left tackle. I really do. You know, he held his own very well when Tunsil was out towards the end of the season. When the Coleman was actually fully healthy. No, he wasn't healthy when he started the season last year, and that's how he lost the job at guard to Chris Paul. So he never got it back after that. So. I prefer Coleman as that kind of backup tackle, being honest, rather than being guard or potential center. But again, I don't like putting square pegs in round holes. And putting Coleman at center is a square peg in round hole.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know
I know
exactly
what you mean.
You know, I don't like putting these guys in. Oh, they're versatile. Oh, they can do this. Yeah, but the thing is, though, you only need to drop your, like, if you're a starting player, you drop your level by 5%. Because you're playing at different positions.
I'm sure the Kilty Commander's baiting you now.
That's, potentially, mate, yeah. Yeah, you know, it's one of them things for me. It just kind of, I can't cope with square peg round hole kind of things and saying people are versatile. But if you drop your level by 5% at the NFL level, you're gonna look like you're mediocre and you shouldn't even be in anyone's team. That's the small differences. And you know, if you're putting somebody who's a natural left tackle or a natural right tackle, then you play. Oh, by the way, you play center because you can see if you prove your snapping a little bit, you can play a bit of center. You're gonna drop your level's gonna drop. That's not where your position is. You've played tackle for most of your career. You know, not just the NFL, mostly at college, maybe even high school might be the same thing. it's kind of like, mate, it's one thing learning a new position in college or learning a new position in high school. It's a big difference when you're doing it at the NFL level. You're trying to learn it on the fly. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
big,
true.
big difference, man. And these guys struggle, and it's understandable why they struggle. That's why I don't want to see Allegretti at center. That's why I don't want to see, other guys playing our positions unless we really, really, really had to. And then I start blaming the roster constructors, your APs and stuff like that, because they should know that Allegretti isn't good enough to be the starter. He's a very solid backup. That's what he should be. We should have been looking. Now, I understand we might have been after the guy from the Raiders, now Linderbaum, and again, he's injured. But he might not get injured if he was here. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Like, you just don't know what's, ifs and buts and stuff like that from Linderbaum. But it's one of them for me. It's just a case of I just don't like it. I don't like how thin that area is, and I understand you might go, well, center's not a huge important position, but I think the whole O-line's important when you've got your star quarterback standing just behind it. You know what I mean? So
I agree with you. We'll get into the actual nuts and bolts of training camp day 2 then and day 1. So everything coming out of Ashburn suggests Jayden Daniels has taken another step as a leader, looking comfortable running the new David Blau offense, snaps from under center. He's spoken about how it feels like it's his team now. Wonder who's meaning there then. Early reports say he's been sharp in training and drills continue to build chemistry with his receivers. We've got high energy, high competitive practices. Dan Quinn's emphasized competition from the first whistle. Day 1 was described as spirited, with plenty of competitive periods between the offense and defense rather than easing straight into camp. A lot of 2-minute drills. And then the standout performances that we've seen so far over the last 2 days. Malik Spencer, rookie safety, intercepted a pass, continuing to flash. Luke McCaffrey holding a touchdown from Jayden Daniels. Ben Sinnott made several impressive catches. Colson Yankoff made the best catch of the camp. And I saw that Deluxe put a comment on about that. Rasul Douglas, there you go, finished practice with an interception. And Jake Moody and Drew Stevens are both perfect during kickoff drills, both 6 for 6 on both days. So yeah, man, it's training camp's starting. It's ticking on. I agree with what Kilted Commander was saying there about you won't know anything till the pads come on. That's exactly true.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? That's where it's going to be.
Everyone can look good in no pads, with shorts and t-shirts.
I think these 2 padded practices that we have with the Ravens and with the Dolphins is going to be big. You know what I mean? It's going to be a big thing to go through. Malik Spencer, rookie safety. Lots of talk around him. Obviously, seems like this is the guy that the fans and the media are kind of hyping up along. Another one is Jayden Bradley, who's the wide receiver who's been working with Terry McLaurin. And Terry mentioned him in his presser as well, saying he's like a sponge. He went out and obviously trained as well with the guys in California. So he went out and obviously trained over there. So any standouts from what you've seen so far from the media hacks from people over there? I don't know much about Malik Spencer. I know he's an undrafted free agent, but the safety room's kind of full, mate. It's going to be tough to make the 53. It's going to be very, very tough.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, he's not harming himself, is he? Let's face it.
He isn't. Keeps going like this. Absolutely not, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing. I mean, he's standing out. He's looking good so far. Defense won day 1 quite easily, I heard. The defense was way ahead of the game.
Which you do. You expect that to happen.
You expect it when you got new guys on offense who Jaden's trying to get the ball to. As you mentioned, Bradley and Yankoff getting more reps and all these types of things. And plus, when you've got no center, the defense are going to start eating. Let's face it. Even though it is only non-contact and only shorts and t-shirt type thing. So that's understandable to a certain extent. But it's one of them things for me. It's like normally offense is the ones that actually dictate the game. Do you know what I mean? Because the snap before, the play before it's snapped. Defense always playing reactive. You know what I mean? And so, yes, defense is a little easier to kind of like get the concept together. And Jones is obviously a very good teacher. We know that Jones is a good teacher. That's why we got him over here. So defense is going to be looking sharp, a lot sharper than the offense will be at the start, which is what we've seen so far. am I standouts? Again, I think you already mentioned him. I think the guy I wanted to mention was Spencer, but again, you already mentioned him, and he's looked really good. And
he was out of Michigan State, wasn't he? I believe.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, rookie safety. So,
and again, an undrafted guy. Again, very difficult for these guys to make any team. It's like you mentioned Bradley as well. I mean, do you remember Mitchell Tinsley?
Yeah, I remember Mitchell Tinsley. Yeah,
he was tearing up camp. Yeah, he didn't even make the squad. You know what I mean? So this is where you got to kind of think about.
He's played okay for the Bengals, I believe. He had a few touchdowns. He had one against us, didn't he? As well.
It might have been against us. I'm not sure if he scored.
Yeah, it was.
I know he scored for them. Yeah. But again, it's one of the things that these guys look good in camp, and then they weren't good enough for our team. So Bradley might be the same, but I have to see how it goes. But again, they've not hurt or harmed their own reputations yet. So
Simi Cobbs, do you remember him?
Oh,
that was another camp darling, wasn't it? Simi Cobbs. Who was the geezer we had off the international pathway? Who was a tight end? Is it Samis Reyes? Was that his name?
Oh, the tight
built like an absolute tank, wasn't he? There was another one.
He got 10 lads. Oh, he did, and he was god awful.
Mitchell Tinsley.
That's true.
You know what? I love Big Mitch, man. Don't diss him. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Just give him
got a lot of time for Big Mitch. Love the big man. Love the big man. Oh dear. Jayden Bradley ended the day with a Randy Moss-like over-the-throw defender catch at the back of the end zone. The DB, who shall not be named, signaled that it was incomplete, but I'm not sure. Came from the crowd, and we've seen that back, and it was in fact Amit Robertson. It was Robertson.
Was Sam Michelle, did he get burnt by Burks?
He got burnt by Burks at the back of he got burnt by Burks and then they also Burks picked a pass. So the pass was coming, it looked like it was intercepted, and he went over and picked the ball off the top of his helmet and carried on for a touchdown. And that was against Amit Robertson. So
against Robertson again. Yeah,
that was on day one. That was so.
Yeah, he didn't play. He didn't play.
Wasn't there today. Yeah. So.
But yeah, I mean, everyone goes on. I mean, I know there's been mentioned about it. Have we already got a wide receiver 2 there in Burks? Now, I've seen that on socials. Now, again, talent-wise, yes, but he's not going to be available. That's the hard part. Can you, as AP, as a roster building? Construction of the roster, you're thinking Burks has got the talent.
Yeah.
We know he's got talent. He's a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we know he's got talent. He's got the size. He's got really good hands. He's got all the talent you want and you need, really. But can he stay healthy? And that's the thing, that he hasn't been able to do that yet. And that's the problem. Can you rely on him? Which means no, you can't. So then it's like, well, that's why you still got to look at, can you find another guy like Diggs, like Ayuk, whatever. But talent-wise, is he good enough to be wide receiver 2? He is. He's just
I don't disagree with that. And there's been a lot of smoke and a lot of noise around Antonio Williams as well, our draft pick. He drew high praise from David Harrison after his first training camp practice. Sounds like Leo Chenal and Frankie Louvet didn't want the smoke when he was in the middle of the field. So he matched up against the team's defensive play along Daniels during a high red zone 11-on-11. Williams put a move on veteran first-team linebacker that accentuated why NFL offenses love to match receivers against backers, but still showcase just how sudden the young receiver can be in and out of his breaks. A veteran-like presence to lure a defender in inside leverage far enough outside to create an advantage is what scouts and evaluators raved about when Washington drafted him. In his first chance to do so, Williams not only put together a solid practice, but has flashed in the very skills that made him a popular selection against defenders who seem more than their fair share of NFL receivers. And that was against Louvu and Chenal. He totally and utterly destroyed them.
He told him a new one, didn't he? But I think, that's really his superpower. Is that sudden burst where you don't know when he's going to break. And when he breaks, he basically breaks your ankles as a defender. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just that good at it. So, he's definitely going to be useful. I mean, would I say he's wide receiver 2? I think that's a bit of a stretch right at this moment.
Do you know,
but
right?
that doesn't mean he can't be. He can't be at some point.
I'm going to have an absolutely outrageously hot take here. I think he's in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I really think so. But the only reason I'm saying that is if you look at the wide receivers that have been picked, not just wide receivers, running backs, etc., they're probably they're either behind someone or they might not have a massive load. They have a load shared. How many snaps is Williams going to get here? Apart from Terry, we don't have anyone.
I'd say,
really?
I say, if Burks is available, then he'd be starting as well. But I mean, of course, I think he's going to start on the slot, and I think he'll be the most every time every 3 wide receivers set, he's going to be probably on the field. So it's going to be, he's going to have a lot of snaps.
I'm not sure on the old 12 and 13 personnel as well. We are probably going to play a lot of 12 and 13, so it's going to be tough in some ways. But I think he's in with a shout, mate. I think he's in with a shout.
It's when because he's going to be mostly used as a slot guy. Let's face it. And then I know Terry mentioned in his presser that the receiver's going to be allowed to move around and do different things and all the rest of it. But the thing is, for the rookie, you are going to start him off on what he's comfortable in, and what he's comfortable in is playing in the slot. So you're going to play a lot more slot, and then you probably see him develop into an outside guy at some point. But it's still one of them things. You know that Terry's going to be on the field like nearly every snap that we're going to be playing on offense. So it's kind of like you've got and if you do play a lot of 13 personnel, for example, you're going to have another receiver, and then you're going to use Chig as your kind of your slot guy, your tight end receiver type player. So Williams could have limited snaps as well. So it depends how much we're going to play of 13 personnel or those type things. So that's going to be interesting to see what we're actually going to do.
Here's a quick question we had in from Rod, who sent me this probably 3 days ago, because that's what Rod's like. Shout out to Rod, he's in our chat. I love it. Like, I get to Monday morning and Rod's got a question in for a Thursday show. I'm like, good for you, lad. That's really good. He said, it's looking more and more likely that we won't add another wide receiver this time. My 2-point question is, how do we feel if we don't add one? And then what do we do with the developing with Chicken and White? I think we covered that one actually last week. I'm just trying to read through these ones here. He said, should we trade Payne for Vita Vea? That was another thing I've heard this week in the news. Is Daron Payne's obviously contract year? He's looking good. Again, he was standout today, apparently, in training camp from the defensive side of the ball. Vita Vea, I'm not sure. On him. He's a year. Is he a year or 2 years older than Duron, but same draft class?
I'm unsure. I'm unsure of his age.
I know they're in the same draft class. Definitely.
I think he's still in his prime years. Vita Vea is a pure animal in the middle. You know what I mean? Like he stops the run. Like that 100%. That back's anywhere near him, he's getting smoked. And it's as simple as that. So where Daron isn't that type of defensive tackle. So it depends what you're looking for. I mean, are you confident in your Tim Settles and your Kinlaws and all those guys, or are you not? And
he's 31.
Then why not? Vea's 31, is he? I thought he was a bit younger.
Vea's 31. Yeah. 6'4", 347. Woofed.
He's a big dude and he's quick.
I know he's quick. Yeah, I know he's quick. So Payne is 29.
So you're right. So Vea's 2 years older. So yeah, I mean that does change things a little bit. However, as we all know, Daron Payne is a beast on his
contract year. Yeah, absolutely right. Exactly the same as what Kilted says there.
And it all depends what you want. As you're looking at your defensive line there, what does Deontay Jones want? Sorry. So, is it that are you happy with Settle as you run stuffer and maybe Kinlaw as you run stuffer type guys, or setting the edge, those type things, or are you wanting the natural pass rusher in the middle? Because let's face it, that's what Payne's more about: disruptive, getting pressure in the face. Not loads of sacks, but a lot of pressure in the face of the quarterback, which interior pressures is even more important than edge pressure. Do you know what I mean? So, because if you can get interior pressure, that actually brings the quarterback out. He has to roll out somewhere, and that leads you straight into one of our edge guys, which is where we got very good players there. So that works really well. Now, I say it just depends what you want. Are you want a Vita Vea, a run stuffer who can kind of get to the quarterback, or do you want a pure inside guy like a pure like a rusher? You know what I mean? So it all depends what you want, really. So
Kill Commander again. He's probably right in what he's saying there. If we're playing the zone, we need to pressure up the middle big time. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, I think Tim Settle brings that, and I don't think you'd have brought him in here because it's clear you're going to play with a nose tackle. That's what you're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yes. So we're going to play, but that's the whole point. You see, is that a lot of the players that we've signed on defense is that it is a hybrid system. Now, one snap will be 3, next snap it'll be a 4 tech, next snap will be a 5 tech. See, I mean, so you're going to see this all the time. So it's difficult to kind of know what Jones's plan really is, besides just bamboozling the quarterback's kind of reading of the defense. You know, it's going to be hard for us to understand it until we start seeing it, on the regular, see what we're going to be doing. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I'm always a case of keep Payne. You know what you got with him. You know what you got.
I agree. I would keep him, and I wouldn't want to trade for Vita Vea in a minute. I think bringing Tim Settle in, I think that was a good move. It was one of the best off-season moves we could have made. He had a great season in Houston last year. I don't think we need to be trading for players unless it is potentially a wide receiver that you can trade for, that you're going to get a decent, upper market wide receiver too. But we talked about this last week, I think, and it was how many teams out there actually have 2 out-and-out wide receivers. Not many. Do you know what I mean? That are going to take the load. Do you know? 2 1s or a 1A and a 1B, or a 1 and an absolutely established 2 that could probably be a 1 on another roster. And then you look at it and you say, well, there isn't many of them out there. You probably are looking at teams that go, we have a 1, then we have a decent-ish 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 kind of make the rest. Do you know what I mean? That's how it's always going to go. And hopefully that's kind of what we're trying to do then. I mean, we'll get into it a little bit then, mate. Bubble players. One of the biggest things from training camp then that we're on at the minute, and we're noticing offensively, we've got Chris Rodriguez Jr. He's well done. Chris Hilton Jr. is what I meant to say. Matt Golbin, Ethan Kaliak-Manis, and Quinton Moore are ones that are standing out on, obviously, defense. We've got Malik Spencer, Robert Henry Jr. as well. And we just mentioned him, Jayden Bradley as well. So running backs wise, he is the running back. Yeah, Robert Henry Jr. I don't know why he's on defense on my sheet. I'm not sure. But yeah. Any bubble players that you're looking at and thinking, as you said, I want to see more? Is it all about seeing these preseason guys and just the first preseason game and going, okay, that's what I need to see? Scrimmaging? Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it's a case of we need to see what these other guys can do. That's what I keep saying about these guys that we don't know anything about or not a lot about. So the rookies, for example, that's one. Then it's a case of new system. Okay, how are the first team dealing with the new system? That's the other thing we need to look at. Then it's the case of, now I know what these guys, I know what, Larry Tunsil can do. I know what Terry McLaurin can do. You know what I mean? I've seen it for years. Yeah. So I don't need to see more of that. I need to see the other guys. I need to see those guys on the fringe, on the bubble, like you mentioned, those guys. I need to see what they've got. And I need to see if they've improved. You know what I mean? If there's guys that who might have been here last season who never got really a team, have they improved enough to make it roster spot this time around? From if you can compare previous preseason games of last season to this season coming up, have they improved? Is the system better for these guys? Sometimes the system can help as well a lot with the player as well. Obviously all the guys we've got have got talent. So it wouldn't be anywhere near this team in the first place. He didn't have any talent. It's just a case of are these guys the right fit, and can you get the best out of them? And that's where you want to see have they got what it takes to be in the NFL and can be potentially a contributor. And that's what I want to look at, and that's what I want to see. So bubble-wise, I mean, I think all of them on the bubble, really. The guys that we've not seen any of, they're all on the bubble, really.
Kill Commander here says, "Are we confident Luke makes the 53?" Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
He is making a 53.
He was getting
No
better
doubt
and
about
better as receiver. He was getting better and better as receiver. Never mind, he's a kickoff return guy, but he was looking like he had the promise. He looked like he had a higher ceiling than what he was just starting to get. Let's say just getting better and better that second season, and then obviously got hurt. So it's not, so that kind of cuts short kind of like how much progress we've seen from him. But I do think I'm actually quite hopeful on McCaffrey, to be honest.
So am I. Another one here, just a quick question as well. He said, "I haven't heard much debate about who will play nickel. That's the unanswered question, in my opinion." So we're talking nickel safety or nickel corner. Yeah, I mean, big nickel, whatever you want to call it. Oh, he said, "I'm calling it. He doesn't make the team." Oof.
Unlikely. I think you're going to be wrong with that one there, Kilton.
I'm not sure on that one.
Oh, and injuries. He's going to be on the screen in the squad. So
100%. I mean, what would you? If you're looking at it that way, then what makes him stand out more than Jaylen Lane? Nothing, in my opinion. Jaylen Lane scored what? Two touchdowns.
I think he's a safe pair of hands. I think
Luke did too, actually.
No. I mean, Luke has got safer hands.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I'm just thinking about TDs last year. I think Jaylen Lane got 2 returns, and I think Luke McCaffrey got 2 actual touchdowns as well.
I mean, this is why Lane's going to make the team, and it isn't because he's such an amazing wide receiver. He's going to make it because he's dangerous on punt returns.
Correct.
We haven't had a dangerous guy for a long time, so we're not going to let that guy go or be on the practice squad so somebody else can pick him up. That ain't going to happen. He's going to be in this team. No. He's going to make the 53, guaranteed, barring injuries. Same with Luke. I really do think. I think that Luke's getting better as a receiver. He's only still learning the position. He's mostly a slot guy, but again, I think he's got a bit more about him. Don't forget, he's got the McCaffrey genes. That also helps. And I just think you got to give him a bit more time to learn the position more. He was getting better and better at it. He looked like he had upside. He wasn't stuck. That's why I think it'll be Diami who goes, and people like Lane will be in my book.
Yeah, your Van Jeffersons, they'll be away.
They'll be the guys that'll be struggling to make the team. They'll be the guys on the potentially practice squad or just cut. I do think that we know as well that AP likes to keep his draft picks, as in like the guys he actually selected, more of a chance to see if he can turn it around. Do you know what I mean? If guys have been struggling, and then can they turn it around? He likes to give him a bit more, a lot longer. I know we cut one of the guys quite quickly, but like 99% of the time, he is kind of like, yeah, these are the draft picks. We believe in them. We're going to give him at least 2-3 years to see what he can do.
There's a good question. If Diggs or AN another comes in, who makes way? Diami Brown. He's on a cuttable contract. He's on a very cuttable contract. I know that sounds ridiculous thing to get at, and I know Kiltage, you said you'd never give up on Diami after making that catch without over the top of his head without even seeing it. I get that. That's playoff Diami, but that's all we've seen. We had 4 years of this train of Diami Brown where he's dropping passes.
We saw 3 big plays in playoffs. That's it.
And a couple of go ball touchdowns that he burnt people on, and that was it. I mean, we were sat in a stadium live watching one of them, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, okay, Diami Brown scored, great, fantastic. But if you're not beating out Jahan Dotson, people like that, nah.
I was a first round pick. I mean,
I know, but where is he now? He's not doing anything. He couldn't do anything in Philadelphia. I'm not sure if he is still at Philly. We've moved on from so many first round picks. It's wild, but it's yeah, you're right. But it's not an ideal situation for Diami to be in on an absolutely cuttable contract. He, for me, is at the very, very bottom of this wide receiver group. He's wide receiver 6, if not wide receiver 7.
Well. I do. I think, if you're going to pick the roster right now, barring any injury,
Terry.
You're going to pick Terry, you're going to pick Williams, you're going to pick Burks, Correct. You're going to pick Lane, and you're going to pick, I think, McCaffrey. I think they're your guaranteed 5. And then
Correct.
and then another. So it could be Diami Brown, like you mentioned, or i.e., if we do get Diggs or somebody else, that's where the slot's coming from. The other guys are fighting it out. Like it really is kind of a, the five pick themselves at this moment. Let's say barring injuries, those are going to be your five your five receivers that you're going to pick and fit in the 53.
I know, I agree. We'll get into our questions then. One that came in, obviously another one from Rod. It said, could Noah Fenske, who got great reviews at minicamp and has played mostly interior O-line positions, including centre, make the final 70 or 53 as a depth piece? Now, reading up on Fenske, I'm having a quick read of it here. He spent a lot of time at Southern Illinois playing center. Looking at his relative athletic score, it was a 9.90, placing him 8th out of 709 centers that have ever been ranked since 1987. Showcasing obviously his potential for what he can do. He favors playing center, said he needs to improve his play strength, but he's there as a lineman. Speed and versatility on the O-line. Have played in every position in college, starting games at left tackle and center. And at Colorado, coming in at guard, having played in all positions, helping me grow and understand the game. It's probably one for the practice squad, I would think, being honest, but you gotta go, man.
Well, it's like you mentioned there. He's versatile.
We'll see what happens in training camp. He's there.
He's there. Yeah, as I'm saying, and at this moment, there is a glaring hole at center. Let's face it. People say, "Oh, Allegretti's guaranteed." I don't think he's guaranteed. I think if one of these guys steps up over this preseason, I think he could be center number 2 rather than actually center 1. So, for me, if I'm playing. If I'm a potential center in this team, I'm thinking I've got a chance here.
True, absolutely.
Starting. If I'm Golbin, I'm thinking the same thing. If I'm Good Jones, I'm thinking the same thing. So this Fencino fellow you're mentioning, maybe, again, that should be the mindset. That should be the mindset, and see, can he actually use rather than just being a camp body or whatever. You're thinking, no, I'm going to make this thing. I'm going to prove a point. So I'll have to see where these happen to. So.
That's quite funny. That from Kilted Day says Dawson's playing Madden with Jayden Davis. As long as they're not driving with Jayden Davis, he'll be okay. Don't worry about
Jayden Davis in jail at the moment? I think that could be a problem for Dawson to play with. But yeah.
Yes. So last question from Rod. Then he says, wondering on the pod tonight, on the quiet tonight. He said, we seem to have a lot of rushers. I know Wise is a D end, but I think we may be on the bubble. Also, Bradley, Van Jefferson at wide receiver, and JD likes Diami. Well, I suppose we just kind of talked about that. We've laid out 6. We might take 7. I'm not sure on that one, mate, but it'll be interested. Do you listen to the press conference? How great is the center? No doubt about it. Did listen to that, mate, but he's out at the moment, obviously with an injury to the calf. Maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. We don't know. We don't know how long this is going to be.
His calf, putting his boots on. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the kind of. This is the kind of quality you're wanting at center, Jesse. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, Bo. Like,
I don't think he's. From what they said, what they said, if you're going to believe what they said, which you can't not believe.
You got to take with a pinch of salt, man. Every time that the coaches say anything, you know what I mean?
Green dot guy. If he was on, I love the communications aspect. We know, as you said before, he does call the plays. So happy days. Do you know what I mean? We get that.
Picking up protections and picking up those type of things. Yeah, he's good at that.
Absolutely. So we've got to see how it goes. We might end up picking one up on cuts. Who knows, mate? Who knows where we'll be? Final question tonight is from Deluxe, who's in our chat as well. Thanks, Deluxe. He said, what is the hardest position battle group battle to predict on the 53? Is it wide receiver? Is it safety for you?
I think running back as well is a potential one.
Running back, that's very hard. You're right.
We've got a lot of depth there. We've got a lot of decent backs there, so that's going to be difficult. Yeah, I think that one, and I think the final position of wide receiver, that's going to be the tough one as well. Picking out who's going to be that 6th receiver. So I think we'll take 6. So it's kind of, where do you go with that? And I think, Diami's the guy holding it, but then that could potentially. No, he could go the other way. You know what I mean? He could miss out by maybe, your mate Craycraft doing the business or whatever, So we'll have to see how that one goes.
So Rod says kicker. Kilted Commander says running back. That's interesting. I mean, looking at the running backs, if you were going to go off starters, you've got Kroskin Merritt, you've got White, you've got Katron Allen, you've got Jeremy McNichols, Jerome Ford, you've got Robert Henry Jr. there as well. That's a tough room. That's a tough room, man.
Mm-hmm. And you've got guys who've proven that they can actually do a job. Nichols can do a job. Yeah, he's not going to blow you away, but he's a solid guy, dependable back. He's really good in pass pro. Those things always get you ahead of others when you're looking at a running back battle. So he's very good in specials. He can tackle. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, he could be a guy that you pick just purely because of the special teams side of things. Now that Belaw's gone, you might get more of a role there. So there's so many options at running back, and that's why I think that's going to be a really tough one to break it down of how many you're going to keep and not. I mean, normally you go for 3, don't you? That's kind of like your normal.
Mm-hmm.
For your 3 normally, but again, we just don't know how else they feel about other dudes.
This is a good point here. He says, Jesse says, if Algretti gets all pro scouts, has to wear a custom made nightgown every night. Yeah. I would pay for that for at least a week. But I'm going to give you a prop here, Scouse. I'm going to give you a bit of a prop. If he has a good game, you do call it out and say he played well, blah blah blah. Give him his flowers.
Yeah. If Allegretti gets all pro, I'll show my ass in a Macy's window. I'll show my ass in Macy's window. Front window.
I love it.
Yeah. It's never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? No. I would do, and I would genuinely do it as well. I would genuinely do it if he got all pro season.
Oh mate, don't, because the pod might get a few more subscribers. And on that note,
prove me wrong, Allegretti. Please prove me wrong.
Exactly. And on that note, don't forget to do your Don't forget to do your like and subscribe.
Just like Kilter Commander says, if he gets all pro, we probably are going to be right up there lifting that Lombardi. So, yeah.
Facts. Yeah. We've seen it. No one wants to see that again.
Everyone wants to see it, mate. Everybody wants to see it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, man. It's,
dear me.
All good, man.
All good fun. That's good. What's your one big prediction then? Have you got a prediction or a surprise player that you think will make the roster? Doesn't have to be a veteran. And who do you think that won't make the roster more openly than that? There's a quick question to end with. Have you got a surprise player that you think will make it? And have you got a surprise veteran player who won't make it? Be interesting to see what you think here.
I mean, to be fair, I'm struggling to be fair. Because I think a lot of the 53 is locked up. I really do. I mean, barring like we get somebody in from the outside via trade, or you're never going to see. I'm not going to be shocked by the guys that are probably going to get caught or put to the practice squad. So it's kind of hard, really, to say this guy's definitely going to make it. He's going to be a shock guy. I do think, does that Bradley have the chance to take on Diarmi at wide receiver 6 level there to see potentially? Unlikely. But he's a guy that everyone's talking about at the moment, so he's going to be one of the guys you're going to keep an eye on. And then, a natural shock cut. Well, I'm just trying to think. I mean, the biggest shock cut would be Deron Payne. That'd be the biggest shock cut because of his contract.
That would I don't think that would happen. Here's one for you. Van Jefferson makes it. Revo gets cut, says Jesse.
See, I mean, I was thinking Revo being cut, but then I was thinking, he's too good on specials. So you're not going to, I don't think he's going to lose it.
Is he though? I'm going to go Percy Butler.
Revo for a reason, bro.
No, 4 years ago.
That was only
4 years ago. No way. It wasn't 2 years ago. It's longer than that. Might even be 3. It was when Ron was here. So We're in the third year of Dan Quinn. So
probably will.
It's a good shout. I'm going to go, Percy Butler as the surprise veteran cut, who won't be
again. That wouldn't surprise me though.
It's not a huge. That's what I mean. It's not a huge surprise, is it? If Van Jefferson, if Akello Witherspoon, if Percy Butler don't make this team, it's not a real surprise, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was trying to make an outlandish one of like Devon Payne, because who's going to be the true surprise? Like, who's going to go? Oh my god, my mind's blown that guy's been
Ben Sinnott, someone like that.
It ain't going to happen. You know. Speaking of that, well, not speaking of that, but just to change it a little bit. Just the news come up here. The Saints have agreed with Chris Olave 4-year extension up to $132 million, 90s guaranteed.
Oh wow! Serious money. Serious money. Yeah. That's the problem we've got, mate. We have to think about Terry's contract. That's the overlooming thing that's gonna be like.
Olave's probably what, 25, 26. He's 26. You know, he's coming into his peak. Do you know what I mean? He's coming into his peak. Trent White being cut. No. Again, that could be shocking. That would be a shock if he did get cut. That would be a shock. Been around too long. I just don't like the idea of not having Revo on specials. I just don't like the idea of that.
I understand exactly where Jesse's coming from. They do love Percy Butler on specials. They love Percy Butler.
How old's Revo now? Like 30 what? What's Revo?
32, something like that. I don't know.
Guess what Jamie Reeves is?
32.
29.
Oh my word. Yeah. Okay.
He's 30 in August, end of August.
There you go then. Maybe not.
So he's still, I'd say he's still in his prime, I'd say. I'll say he's in his prime.
Love it. Revo Tress get cut January the 6th, part 2 is on. Yeah, you're not wrong. I love that. Well, thank you everybody for being with us tonight. Obviously, it's a little bit more brief than we normally would do, but to be honest with you, we're not seeing much. Congratulations to all those who are going out to watch the camp. We'll get our own reports back from people who we know who are going to camp. Enjoy it if you're there. Obviously, I don't know if it's this weekend. I'm not sure when it's gonna start. That'll do it for tonight, though. Everyone who's joined us live in the chat, we appreciate what you're doing. Don't forget to do the old like and subscribe and comment and do all that sort of thing. We'll be back with more Commanders training camp coverage from me and Scouse. Hail to the Commanders, raise hail everyone, and good night.
Bye.